Well, everyone, today we are going to be talking about something that is really useful in English, something that is actually super easy. And we are going to be talking about this topic for this week and the next one, okay? So we are going to divide the topic into moments. Today we are going to begin with modal verbs of obligation and advice, okay? I guess this is something you have seen before. However, I just want to check what do you remember. So let's begin with this. If I say modal verbs, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? What is a modal verb? Who can tell me? What is it, babies? Modal verbs. What is that? What do you remember of modal verbs? Or, for example, which modal verbs do you remember?
Miss,
Tell me, Sari.
um, is auxiliary verbs.
Help some kind like as an auxiliary verb in some situations. Yes. What else do you remember, guys? What is a modal verb? What is that, my dears? So as Sari was saying, yes, modal verbs are auxiliary verbs in English. But how do we use these verbs? Tell me, Sammy.
I don't remember like what modal verbs mean, but I remember like some example like can or may, must, and will, I think.
Yes, those are modal verbs. So yes, as Sammy was saying and Sari was saying, okay, modal verbs are auxiliary verbs that you are going to use in English, and those modal verbs are going to be used to express, for example, the mood of something, maybe possibility, maybe obligation. Those are going to be like words, babies, that are going to let you know, like the intention of the sentence. So it is different if you say this. If you say, you have to do your homework, it's really hard. Sorry, it's really different if you say you should do your homework. Can you see the intention is going to change? So according to the modal verb, according to the intention I am going to put here by using this auxiliary verb. If I say you have to do the homework, what am I saying?
Tienes que hacer la tarea.
That's it. Tienes que hacerla. Es obligatorio. Es mandatorio. Tienes que hacerla. And what happens if I say you should do the homework? What am I saying?
Tú deberías.
Deberías hacerla. Como una sugerencia, un venga, haga la tarea si le parece bien. Si ven, no es tan fuerte, no es del carácter obligatorio como por ejemplo have to. You have to is different from you should. Can you see? So today we are going to check, first of all, modal verbs of obligation and advice. And you are going to realize, babies, that we use modal verbs a lot in English. Actually, we use them a lot in English, but we are going to check the ones we know by now. Okay? So here we go. Today we are going to be talking about these modal verbs. We are going to talk about must, we are going to talk about have to, and we are going to talk about should. Okay? If you have questions, guys, just let me know. Don't forget that you can let me know. So let's begin. We are going to begin by checking the definition, the meaning of a modal verb, and so on. Let me move this a bit for you to see it in a good way. So I am going to ask, let me check. I am going to ask, Vero, can you please help me reading the first part of this slide till the part that says conditional? Go ahead, Vero.
Okay, Miss. Definition. Modal verbs are auxiliary verbs that cannot function as a main verb. Modal verbs express modality, ability, possibility, need, or other condition. We use them for the future or the conditional.
So look at this, my dears. First of all, we have that modal verbs, as Sari was saying, are auxiliary verbs. What is an auxiliary verb? ¿Qué es un verbo auxiliar? Es un verbo que acompaña al verbo principal. ¿Listo? Auxiliary verbs, so for that reason, modal verbs cannot function as a main verb. No va a ser nunca el verbo principal. Siempre van a ir acompañados de otro verbo. ¿Listo? That's the first thing you should know. In the case of modal verbs, guys, you have multiple categories, you have multiple modal verbs that can be used to express, for example, modality, to express ability, to express possibility, to express that you need something, or multiple conditions. And we usually use them to talk about future things or conditional things, like you have to do this if you want to do this, like conditions, okay? So tell me, do you have questions up to this point? Okay, so we are going to continue with the next part. Juan, darling, can you please continue as complementary verbs?
And yeah, as complementary verbs, modal verbs do not work without another verb. This other verb always comes after the modal verb and is in the base from the infinitive without do. Modal verbs do not conjugate and do not have time.
Thank you, darling. So look at these babies. This is really, really important. What happened here? As these modal verbs are going to be auxiliary verbs, that mean complementary verbs, verbs that go with the main verb, you have to take into account this. First of all, the modal verbs are not going to work without another verb. Si tú tienes un verbo modal y sin otro verbo que lo acompañe, no te sirve. Tú no puedes decir solo, you should your mom. You should your mom. No. It's better if you say you should visit your mom. You should call your mom. But if you just say you should your mom, it is like not okay. It has no meaning. It has no intention. Can you see? So modal verbs are going to be with another verb. That's the first part you have to take into account. And also, guys, look at this. This other verb, the main verb you are going to be using, is going to be after the modal verb. What is the meaning of after, guys? After, what is that? No one. What is the meaning of after, babies? I know you know. Después, that's it. Después, tú vas a poner el verbo principal siempre, siempre, siempre después del verbo modal, ¿ok? So, always come after the modal verb and the main verb is going to be in the normal way, in the base form. ¿Qué quiere decir eso? Pues que no lo conjugas. Entonces tú puedes decir, I can fly, you should go, I have to do. Can you see? So the verbs are going to be in the normal way without to, ¿sí? De la forma normal. Do, play, run, sleep, call. Can you see? And babies, keep this in mind. Modal verbs do not conjugate and do not have time. En los verbos modales es súper genial porque nunca los vas a tener que conjugar. No es que tengan pasado, no es que tengan la forma progresiva. No, no los tienen. Los verbos modales son así, tal cual, y siempre van a ser así. Y tampoco van a tener un tiempo específico. No es que son solo para el pasado, son solo para el futuro. No, los puedes usar sin problema. So modal verbs are really, really great, actually. Tell me, guys, do you have questions up to this point? No questions? So I am going to give you some seconds to take notes. Go ahead. Ready, my dears, or no yet?
No yet, miss.
Okay, keep going. Okay, babies, ready? Can we continue or no yet? Please let me know.
I am ready.
Okay, so you're ready. What about the others? Ready? Can we continue, guys? No yet? One more minute. Okay, let's wait some seconds. Okay, guys, let's continue then. The next one. Okay, here we go. So now you know that modal verbs are auxiliary verbs that are going to go with the main verb and so on. Now that you know that, we are going to begin checking this one, the first one. We are going to begin with must. Tell me, guys, if I say this sentence, you must go to the school right now. This is a suggestion, this is an advice, of this is something that is mandatory, an obligation. That's an order. Very good, Sammy. It's an order. So must is a modal verb of obligation, okay? Keep it in mind. So we are going to check the first part. Samuel, can you please help me reading this first part till the part of negative form?
Yes, miss. So we use must to indicate duty of or obligation to do something. We could translate it as having or do or duty. The modal verb must is an actual action act ¿cómo se llama?
Auxiliary verb.
Sorry. Actual, can you repeat?
Okay, here we go, Sammy. Auxiliary verb.
Auxiliary verb. Okay, thank you. That is used accompanied by an infinitive verb to express obligation or prohibition. So when it is used, we use it after any person pronoun we want to talk about obligation, duties, activities, or strong needs. It can appear in affirmative or negative form.
Thank you, Sammy. So look at this, my dears. Must. Must is a modal verb we are going to use to talk about duty, obligation to do something, and that's it. So what is the meaning of duty? What is the meaning of this word? It's your duty. What is that? What is a duty, babies? Deber, very good. Es tu deber, para indicar el deber, algo que tú tienes que hacer, ¿listo? We use it to indicate duty or obligation to do something, babies. And when you have to translate it, I mean, if you want to make the translation, we are going to try to avoid it, but if you have to, you are going to say this like having to. It is mandatory. Tienes que hacerlo. ¿Listo? Look at these, babies. It is usually this one usually goes with an infinitive verb, as we were checking before. Modal verbs have to go with another verb that's going to be the main verb, and that main verb is going to be an infinitive. But also the verb must express obligation or prohibition. So look at this. Must is going to help you not only to talk about something that is mandatory, not only to give orders, not only to give something that is like an obligation, but also to talk about something that is forbidden, something that is a prohibition. So keep it in mind. When do we use it, babies? We are going to use it in these cases. So obligations, duties, advices, or strong needs. And also, as I was telling you, prohibitions. So here we have two examples. We are going to check first the modal verb must in affirmative and then in negative. So let's take a look to the first part, in affirmative. So here you have this example. We are going to use must to express moral duty. So, you must respect older people. Cuando hablamos de esto, moral duty, must is going to be to talk about obligations that you have because of your beliefs. Va a ser usado para hablar de obligaciones, pero muchas veces de obligaciones que tú sientes que son obligación debido a lo que tú crees, a lo que tú piensas, a lo que tú sabes que es correcto. ¿Listo? No es algo que alguien te esté, digamos, diciendo en ese momento solamente como usted tiene que hacerlo así. No, también se usa cuando tú eres el que sabe, el que siente que es una obligación porque para ti es una obligación, tú lo consideras así. ¿Ok? So, you must respect other people. As you can see, babies, we have another example here. Look at this. I must go now. Me tengo que ir ya. There is no one telling you that you have to leave that place now. But you know in your soul, you know that it is time for you to go, so you must go now. That's an example of must. Or you can also use it, for example, if I say, you must listen to me, something like that. But it's usually more for moral duties and so on. Oh God, give me a second. And in this case, guys, modal verb must in negative, I am going to give you the example with a prohibition. Usually, when you use must in negative, is going to be for prohibitions. Bueno, usualmente, no siempre, pero usualmente cuando lo usas en negativo es para hablar de algo que está prohibido. Okay? So look at this. Students mustn't smoke at school. It's a prohibition. You have not only all the teachers telling you that, but you also have a manual that is telling you, hey, if you do this, you are going to be expelled from the school, and so on. Si tú haces eso, te van a expulsar. Si tú haces eso, vas en contra de las reglas. Está prohibido en este lugar. Okay? So when you have these kind of prohibitions that are not really formal, like this is not like the law or police or something like that, but it is a rule, for example, in your school. You mustn't smoke at school. So, babies, do you have questions about must? Questions up to this point?
No, miss.
No? Okay, thank you, Juan Pablo. So, my dears, must to talk about obligations, duties, advice, or strong needs. And remember, must is also important when you are going to talk about moral duty that you believe it is mandatory because for you is like that, or for prohibitions, like for example, in scholar context and so on. So I am going to give you some seconds to take notes. Go ahead. Ready, babies, or no yet? Please let me know. Yes, no, tell me.
No, yet, miss.
No yet? Okay, don't worry.
No chocolatina yet, miss.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, miss.
Okay, you're ready. What about the others, guys? Ready? Can we continue or no yet? Please let me know, baby.
Ready.
Ready, Juan Pablo? What about the others? Yeah? Nope? Okay, yes, that we are right. We can continue. So, okay, thank you. So, must, babies, obligation. This is one modal verb that we use a lot in English. So we are going to continue and we are going to check another one. Remember, the affirmative form is must, the negative is mustn't or must not, okay? We are going to check some examples in affirmative and in negative. So I am going to ask Danny, can you please help me reading the examples of must in affirmative?
Okay, she must take the children with her to Houston. She must lend his the money which we need. She must be back by noon. She must return later.
Thank you. So look at this. She must take the children with her to Houston. So let me ask you something, guys. In this case, do you think that someone is telling her to do it because it is a rule and it's mandatory and you have it somewhere? Or this is more like a moral duty? What do you think? Is this a rule because the law says it is a rule, or this is like a moral duty? Un deber moral, como venga, son sus hijos, llévelos a Houston con usted. ¿Ustedes qué dicen? Moral duty or like obligation in general? For example, Juan Pablo, what do you think? This is moral duty? Okay, Samuel answer. So moral duty, yes. It is more like moral duty. Look at this. He must lend us the money which we need. What is the meaning of lend us? The meaning of lend, what is that? If we are talking about money, for example, Pachito, what is the meaning of lend? Lend us. Open your microphones, don't forget that.
What means lend?
What is the meaning of the word, baby? Lend us. He must lend us the money. What is that?
In the context, I don't know what is the meaning, but in the context I see, creo que es prestar.
That's it. Very good. So, prestar. ¿Es realmente obligación de una persona prestarle dinero a otra persona? ¿Sí o no?
No.
No. It's like not
No.
mandatory. But maybe this is something moral, maybe this is something someone else believes. So can you see in affirmative and in the case of must, it is not like obligation because the law says it is an obligation, but it is an obligation because someone else believes it is like that, or because you believe it is like that. So she must be back by noon. It is not by law, but maybe your mom is the one who is saying that. Can you see? She must return later. Ella tiene que regresar más tarde. You don't have to. It is not like you don't have to do it, but you must do it because it is like your duty. Deberías hacerlo porque es tu deber. Can you see? So now we are going to check some examples in the negative context. So we are going to ask to Sari, Princess, can you please help me reading these examples in negative? Sari? Okay, Sari can't hear me. Oh no, so Nicolas, can you hear me, baby? Wow, not here. Nico. Nicolás, are you there, baby? Okay, Nico, ¿me vas a ayudar a leer, porfis?
And the negative,
Yes, negative.
you must be angry. The moms go to the party. He must not talk like that. I must not play this game.
Thank you, Nico. Very good. So, dears, look at these examples I have here in negative. Remember that when we talk in negative, it is going to be for prohibitions. But once again, it is not going to be like the law is saying it is forbidden. It is more like in general. So look at this. You mustn't be angry. No es como que en serio no tengas que estar enojado. Tal vez tú tienes una razón para estar muy enojado, pero la persona con la que estás enojado te está diciendo como, venga, no debería estar bravo por eso. ¿Listo? So it is not like something the law says, but it is more like a personal opinion. You mustn't be angry. They mustn't go to the party. A suggestion like, hey, don't do it. He must not talk like that. For example, when you answer in a bad way to your parents, so hey, don't talk to me like that. And you see, you mustn't do it. And the last one, I must not play this game. Maybe you are playing the game, but you know that you shouldn't be doing that. So you must not play that game. Got it? So questions about must and the use of must as a modal verb, my dears? Nope. So babies, now you have 1 minute, maybe less, to take notes of the examples in affirmative, in negative, and then we are going to continue. Okay, ready guys? Can we continue? Can we continue? Can we continue? Please tell me yes, no, maybe. Something?
Yes, miss. We can continue.
Okay, thank you. Let's continue then. So must. Must is one of the modal verbs we are going to be talking about today. Now, babies, we are going to talk about have to. So once again, let me ask you this. If I say you have to do your homework, Is this an order or is this like an advice? What do you think?
Is an order.
It's an order, of course. So look at this. Have to, guys, is a semi-auxiliary verb. ¿Por qué es semi-auxiliary, amores? Porque a veces tú puedes usar have simplemente como verbo, no como verbo auxiliar. Tú puedes decir, I have a car. Yo tengo un carro. Y have es un verbo principal. Pero si pones have to, es un verbo auxiliar. Por eso es semi-auxiliar. Pero en el caso de los modal verbs, lo vas a usar como el corriente. Verbo auxiliar. ¿Listo? So, we are going to check the use of have to. I am going to ask to Sophie to help me reading this slide. So, oh my gosh. So go ahead, Sophie. You can begin right now.
Okay, Miss. Have to is a semi-auxiliary that is usually translated as have to. Have to indicates that the obligation comes from external norms, a third person on a circumstance. Have to is a semi-modal verb that is used very frequently in English to express obligation. We say semi-modal because it does not follow the rules of modal verbs. Next, we explain how it is formed and when it is used. We use to express obligation and express need.
Thank you, Princess. So look at this, dears. Have to, the modal verb we are going to be talking about. As I was telling you, it is a semi-auxiliary verb because have can be also a main verb, but this is the most important part. Have to is going to be used to indicate obligation, but this obligation, different from must, this obligation comes from external norms, okay? A third person or a circumstance. ¿Listo? Este have to, a diferencia del must, que a veces era como más lo que uno creía, obligación moral y así. En el caso de have to, no. En el caso de have to, esta obligación va a venir de alguien más, de normas externas, so a third person or a circumstance or maybe the law or something like that. Okay? So, this modal verb is extremely used in English, guys. It's frequently used in English to talk about obligation. It's one of the most famous ones. Es uno de los más famosos. Okay? And in this case, guys, it is a semi-modal verb, not only because have is a main verb, but also, and you are going to see this on the examples, because this is not going to follow the rules of modal verbs. Which are the rules of the modal verbs? You have to use the modal verb, and then the next verb is going to be in infinitive, and so on. Okay, so we are going to check this in the example. Remember this, guys. Have to is going to be used to express obligation and to express need, but remember, comes from external norms. Let's take a look to this image. It says, why do I have to make my bed? Why do I have to do it? The reason why is because you have rules in your home and your mom is telling you you have to do it. Because if you don't do it, you are going to be breaking the rules of the home, of the house. Can you see? So in this case, you have obligation that comes from someone else and from some rules that you have established at home. So questions up to this point, my dears? Something to say? So go ahead, please take notes, and then we are going to check some examples. Okay, my dears, ready to check the examples or no yet?
No yet.
No
Okay,
yet.
go.
Apenas voy en modal verbs. Next we will explain.
Okay, go ahead, you can do it. Ready, babies, or no yet?
No chocolate, no mentiras, chips. I am ready.
Okay, Danny's ready. What about the others?
No, Miss, apenas voy en and when y dice, bueno, ya ven al final en realidad.
Okay, so Juan Pablo, let me know as soon as you finish, and as soon as you finish, we are going to continue, okay?
Ya en 3, 2, 1, acabé, listo.
Okay, so I am going to assume that you're ready, right? Here we go. So, my dears, have to. Have to is really important in English. It's really famous in English. Remember, obligation, meetings, but from outside, from external norms. So let's check some examples. Look at this, my dears. Look at this. Examples of have to. So I am going to give you examples as like with have as verb, like a main verb, and with have as auxiliary verb. Okay. So look at this. We are going to go with affirmative and negative. Got it? Let's begin with affirmative. And I am going to ask. Let me check her. Let me check. Sari, are you here or no yet?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, Princess, please help me reading the examples of affirmative. Go ahead.
Okay. You have to go to school. I have to wash the car. My mom have to cook lunch. You have to study.
Thank you. So look at these, babies. In this case, you are using have to as a modal verb with all the rules of a modal verb, like have to as an auxiliary verb, and then another verb that goes with the auxiliary verb. So you have to go to the school. Why? Because it is a rule. It is an external rule. If you don't go to school, you won't be able to go to university, and so on and so on and so on. Can you see? So the next one, I have to, and then you have another verb. I have to wash the car. My mom have to cook the lunch. Is this okay? Look at this sentence. Is this okay? Tell me. ¿Esta oración está bien o no? Take a look to that. Ustedes dirían, si yo les pongo esto y les digo, identifica el error en la oración, ¿cuál es el error de esta oración? My mom have to cook lunch. What is the mistake? Who knows? What is the mistake, babies?
Cook, digo.
No, it is not the verb. There is another mistake.
O have está mal puesto, no sé.
Have está mal, pero ¿por qué está mal have?
No debería ir ahí, debería ir.
No, sí, yo ahí, después del
¿Sí ahí?
va ahí. Pero ¿cuál es el error que hay acá?
¿Haven't?
No.
Ah, no,
That
pero
I mom is a third person. So it is not have, it is has. Acuérdense, have se usa de acuerdo al sujeto.
sí lo pensé, pero preferí no decirlo.
No.
No, mentira, no.
Look at this. My mom has to cook lunch. Esta es una de las razones por las que es un seño auxiliar, porque no siempre va a ser igual. Ustedes se acuerdan que yo les dije al principio que los verbos modales siempre eran iguales, no cambiaban absolutamente nada de eso, que siempre iban a ser así y punto. En el caso de have, eso no pasa. ¿Por qué? Porque have, aquí está el error, se los estaba mostrando, have va a cambiar de acuerdo a el sujeto. So, en este caso no sería have, en este caso sería has, porque my mom is just one person. My mom has to cook lunch. And we also have, you have to start. ¿Sí ven? Tengan esto muy presente. No vayan a copiar el error así tal cual. Se los puse para darles el ejemplo. Copien de arriba que es has. Okay? Now let's take a look to have to, but by using have as the main verb. And we are going to ask to Pachito to help us reading the examples. Go ahead, Pachito.
Okay. I don't have money. Do you hear me well? Okay, no. Okay, okay. I don't have money. You do not have any sisters. He doesn't have any time for me. She does not have any friends.
Thank you. So look at this, guys. When you are using have to, tienen dos formas de usarlo. En este caso, cuando están expresando necesidad, I don't have money. I need money. Este I don't have money significa, oiga, necesito dinero. Pero miren que acá, como se volvió el verbo principal, tenemos que ponerle un verbo auxiliar, que en este caso va a ser do or does, dependiendo del sujeto. So, I don't have money. You do not have any sisters or you don't have any sisters. And you see, he doesn't, look at this, acá nos cambió el verbo auxiliar porque cambiamos de sujeto. Cuando have está haciendo el verbo principal, va a llevar un verbo auxiliar, que es do or does. He doesn't have any time for me. She does not have any friends. Esto es una opción, como he doesn't have any time for me. ¿Cuál es la necesidad? Necesito tiempo para mí. You don't have any sisters. ¿Cuál es la necesidad? Necesitas un hermano. She doesn't have any friends. ¿Cuál es la necesidad? Necesitas amigos. Es una forma de usarlo en negativo, o también puedes usarlo así. You don't have to go to school. Cuando lo vas a poner en negativo, no lo vas a poner you haven't to go, no. Siempre que vas a poner el have to en negativo, tiene que ir acompañado de otro verbo que es el don't o el doesn't. Sea que el have sea el verbo principal o sea que no, como acá. You have to go to the school, you don't have to go to school. I have to wash the car, I don't have to wash the car. Aquí se cumplen las reglas, sin embargo, para ponerlo en negativo no es como, por ejemplo, el must, que simplemente era mustn't. No, en este caso es don't have to or doesn't have to, okay? So questions about it, babies, questions up to this point? Something to say? So, please take notes. Remember the mistake here. Y señálenme grande que acá en have to, cuando lo vas a usar en negativo, sea que el have sea el verbo principal o sea que no, que sea el verbo auxiliar y tengas otro verbo igual. Para ponerlo en negativo tienes que poner don't or doesn't, okay? So go ahead, some seconds to take notes of the examples. Ready, babies? Can we continue or no yet? Okay, Sunny is ready. What about the others? Okay.
Acabo de acabar. Ready, miss.
Okay, great. Let's continue then. So, babies, by now we have seen must and have to. Those two are to talk about obligation, something that is mandatory. when you have, for example, prohibitions, when you have rules. But now we are going to talk about the last modal verb of today, and this is should. If I say you should visit the doctor, am I giving an order or am I giving a suggestion? What do you think?
A suggestion.
That's it. It is an advice. It is a suggestion. It is, hey, if you are feeling bad, you should go there. It is not something mandatory. It is not It is not an obligation, but it is something you should do because you should take care of yourself. Can you see? So we are going to check at this part. So I am going to ask to Juandi. Can you please help me reading this part? Juandi. Okay, he's not here. So I am going to ask to Majo Garcia. Majo Garcia,
This is in another class.
tell me.
And this is in another class.
Maybe. We don't know. But okay, Majo Garcia is going to help us. So Majo, can you please help me reading this part, darling?
Yes, miss. Should. Should is a modal helper. It has several uses. Conditional, give advice, duty or obligation, suggestions. Should is used to recommend doing something and to state if we think something is as it should be or not.
Thank you, princess. So babies, should. Should is a modal helper. It's a modal verb, guys, that is going to be used in multiple conditions. So you can use it to give a condition like you should do it if you want to, whatever. You can use it to give an advice. You can use it to talk about duty or obligation, but it is like something not that formal. But you can use it also to give a suggestion. The major use, the most important use, guys, that should has is this one. Should is used to recommend doing something. Lo vas a usar para sugerir, para recomendar hacer algo. Es el uso principal, okay? It is not an obligation. It is not something mandatory. It is a suggestion, una recomendación, okay? And also, you are going to use it if you want to express that you believe that something is as it should be or not. Como creo que sí debería ser así, creo que no debería ser así. Pero usualmente es para dar recomendaciones para hacer algo. So, look at the image. I've got a cold. What can I do? What's the answer? You should go to the doctor. Tal vez lo haga, tal vez no lo haga, pero tiene una recomendación. Hey, you should do it because you are not feeling good. Okay? So should is a modal helper. Questions about should, my dears? Questions about this modal verb? So now you have like 1 minute to take notes, and then we are going to check some examples in order to finish our explanation, okay? So please, 1 minute to take notes of should. Go ahead. Okay, let's continue. So should to give suggestions, to recommend doing something. We are going to check some examples before finishing. Oh my God, I'm sorry for this color. I thought it would be better. No era ese rosado feo, pero
Bueno,
it's a cool, but
¿cuál es
color.
el título, profe? No lo veo.
It says examples of should, but the color is awful. I don't know why did this change the color. It wasn't the color. I'm sorry. But well, we are going to check in affirmative and in negative. So Danny, please attack with affirmative.
Affirmative. She should take the children with her husband. She should lend us the money which we need. She should be back by noon. She should return later.
Thank you. So these are the same examples we checked on the first modal verb we talked about that it was must. Look at this. When we use should, the intention is going to change, like it is going to change everything. Instead of saying she must take the children, we are saying she should do it. It is a suggestion. I believe it must be like this. I recommend you do this. So she should take the children to London. She should lend us the money which we need. She should be back by noon. She should return later. And also in negative, it is shouldn't. The way to use it is shouldn't. So we are going to check the examples in negative to finish. And I am going to ask to Juan D. I guess Juan D is here now. Juan D, are you here?
Yes, miss, the microphone doesn't work in the yeah.
Okay, don't worry. So baby, attack with the examples of negative. Go ahead.
Okay. Negative. We shouldn't be in the meeting next week. He shouldn't feel better later. You shouldn't go home. I shouldn't rest more.
Okay. So look at this. We shouldn't be in the meeting next week. It's a suggestion. It's a recommendation. It is not an obligation. Okay. He shouldn't feel better later. You shouldn't go home. I shouldn't rest more. Como no debería descansar más. Can you see? So, babies, do you have questions up to this point? Something to say about must, have to, or should? Something you don't understand? We are going to practice with this and next classes during the next week. We are going to keep talking about modal verbs. We are going to have activities to practice, don't worry. But now I am going to stop with the recording of the class. Remember, you can find it tomorrow on today's forum and also in the YouTube channel. Got it? And babies, this last minute of class, you can use it to take notes of these examples. I am going to stop with the recording of the class right now.